Dear students, we are going to discuss about the dural venous sinuses. So I told you what is meant by dural venous sinus. Dural venous sinus means those are the spaces. Sinus means space. Where it is in, those are the spaces seen inside the dura mater for the accumulation of the venous blood. Okay, so that's why it's known as a dural venous sinuses. So sinuses seen inside the dura mater. So dural venous sinuses. See here we can see so how many dural venous sinuses. See, all these are dural venous sinuses. Here without dura mater, they are only one without dura mater. This is sinuses. So those sinuses can be divided into paired sinuses and unpaired sinus. What are the paired sinus? See, cavernous sinus, superior petrosal sinus, inferior petrosal sinus, transverse sinus, sigmoid sinus, sinoparietal sinus, petrosquamous sinus, then middle meningeal sinus or vein. Middle meningeal, it's otherwise known as middle meningeal vein or middle meningeal sinus. Okay, see, says once again, cavernous sinus, superior petrosal. We already have seen the superior petrosal. Then, like that, we are having inferior petrosal. Then transverse sinus. Then sigmoid, sinoparietal. Then petrosquamous, middle meningeal sinus. Here, then unpaired sinus. So unpaired sinus, superior sagittal sinus, inferior sagittal sinus, straight sinus, occipital sinus, anterior intercavernous sinus, seen between two cavernous. So anterior intercavernous sinus, posterior intercavernous sinus, then basilar plexus of veins. It's a plexus. Okay, it's a network of veins. So these are the unpaired sinus. So first we saw what is meant by sinus. Sinus are the spaces seen inside the dura mater. Those spaces can be divided into two categories: paired. What are the paired? Then unpaired. What are they? Now we have to discuss the details of cavernous sinus. Cavernous sinus, it's a dural venous sinus located in the middle cranial fossa, middle part of the middle cranial fossa, or on either side of the body of the sphenoid. See here, this is the body of the sphenoid, and here we are having a shallow depression for the pituitary gland, or pituitary gland is located here. On either side of that, see here, one side cavernous sinus, here opposite side cavernous sinus. So it is located in this middle cranial fossa. That point is clear. See, this is the anterior cranial fossa, then middle cranial fossa, then posterior cranial fossa. So this is a middle cranial fossa, almost a middle part of the middle cranial fossa. Correct now. So first point, it is located in the middle cranial fossa, where on either side of the body of the sphenoid. See, this is the body of the sphenoid. On either side means here and here. Okay. So first introduction, it is situated. First, what is meant by cavernous sinus? It's a sinus seen inside the dura mater location. It is located in the middle cranial fossa on either side of the body of the sphenoid. Then next we have to see some relations. See, superiorly it is related to optic tract, optic chiasma, and olfactory tract. Inferiorly foramen lacera. First we'll see. See here we can see one opening, one small opening. That is what the foramen lacera. See here also. This opening it is known as what? The foramen lacera. So inferiorly it is related to that foramen lacera, nothing more. Superior relation. See here we can see the optic nerve. See here this closing over of the optic nerve it is known as the optic chiasma. It lies almost above the cavernous sinus. So optic tract is related to this cavernous sinus. Not only the optic tract, olfactory, not only the optic chiasma, olfactory tract is also related to the cavernous sinus. So optic tract, optic chiasma, olfactory tract. Optic tract, optic chiasma, and the olfactory tract. Those 3 points. Then inferiorly foramen lacerum that we already saw on foramen lacerum here, optic tract and optic chiasma, then olfactory tract. Then medially, it is related to this pituitary gland. This is what pituitary gland. So this is the cavernous sinus. First, you have to identify this is a cavernous sinus. Okay, medially towards the midline. See here comes the midline. Medially, it is related to this pituitary gland. Laterally, here this depression is mainly for the temporal lobe of the cerebrum. So here and here we are having the temporal lobe. Okay, so laterally it is related to temporal lobe, medially pituitary gland, superiorly optic nerve, optic chiasma, olfactory tract, inferiorly foramen lacera. Foramen means opening. So relations are clear. Medially pituitary hypophysis cerebri means pituitary gland, then laterally temporal lobe. Now, when we take the section of this cavernous sinus, Here we can see some structures passing through the lateral wall and the medial wall. What are the structures seen in the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus? See, this is what the coronal section of the cavernous sinus. See, this is one side cavernous sinus, then pituitary gland, opposite side cavernous sinus. So, what is meant by coronal section? Coronal section which divides the body into, see like this, which divides the body into anterior part and a posterior part. So here, in order to see the interior of the cavernous sinus, we took the coronal section. Okay, so this almost see this is the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus. This is the medial wall of the cavernous sinus. See here in the lateral wall there we can see some nerves. What are they? Oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, ophthalmic nerve, and then maxillary nerve. It's easy to study. Oculomotor, what is the numerical status of this nerve? It is third cranial nerve, fourth cranial nerve. Trochlear is the fourth cranial nerve. Ophthalmic and maxillary, those are the first two branches of the fifth cranial nerve. Means third, fourth, and some branches of the fifth. Those are the structures passing through this lateral wall. See, oculomotor, trochlear, maxillary. Sorry, this one is a trochlear. So oculomotor, trochlear, and ophthalmic and maxillary. So those are the four nerves seen on the lateral wall. Like that, medial wall is also having some structures. What are they? Internal carotid artery and abduction nerve. See, this one is a internal carotid artery. Along with that, there we are having the abduction nerve. Okay, that actually is in the medial wall. So those are some of the structures passing through this lateral wall and medial wall. So first, what is meant by cavernous sinus? That point is clear. It's a dural venous sinus seen inside the dura mater. Then what are some of the important relations? Then what are the structures passing through the lateral wall and medial wall? Now, what are the tributaries or what are the incoming channels? See, it gets or veins from the orbit. What are the veins from the orbit? Superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, and central vein of retina. See this image. See, this is the eyeball, and see, this is the cavernous sinus. Above the eyeball, here we are having the superior ophthalmic vein that drains into this cavernous sinus. Below that, inferior ophthalmic vein that also drains into this cavernous sinus. Then central vein of retina is also draining into the cavernous sinus. So superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, and central vein of retina. Then from the brain, it gets some veins. Superficial middle cerebral vein and inferior cerebral vein. See, this is the supralateral surface of the cerebrum, and this middle part of the supralateral surface is drained by this vein. It is known as superficial middle cerebral vein. It drains the middle part of the supralateral surface. So middle cerebral. Then why it is on a superficial here? One more is there that will be deep. So this one is a superficial middle cerebral vein drains into the cavernous sinus. Like that, the inferior surface, which is drained by inferior cerebral vein, that also drains into this cavernous sinus. So from the brain, superficial middle cerebral vein and inferior cerebral vein, veins draining the superficial supralateral surface and inferior surface. Then from the meninges, sinoparietal sinus and middle meningeal vein. See, this is the sinoparietal sinus. Like that, here it is. Here we are having the middle meningeal vein. So middle meningeal vein and the sinoparietal sinus also drains into this cavernous sinus. These are the veins draining into the cavernous sinus. So three heading. So incoming channels or tributaries. We are explaining these tributaries under three heading: from the orbit, from the meninges, from the brain. From the orbit, three are there: superficial, superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, and the central vein of retina. From the brain, we are having two veins: superficial middle cerebral vein and inferior cerebral vein. And from the meninges, two veins: sinoparietal and middle meningeal vein. Okay, then what are the draining channels? First, we already have discussed about the incoming channels. Now outgoing or draining channels. See, it drains into the transverse sinus. So through superior petrosal sinus, we'll discuss. See here, this is what the cavernous sinus, or this area, there comes the cavernous sinus. This cavernous sinus is drained by superior petrosal sinus. See, this one is a superior petrosal sinus. So the venous blood accumulate here will drain into this transverse sinus. This is a transverse sinus. I already showed you the transverse sinus. This is the transverse sinus. So through this superior petrosal sinus. Clear? See, this cavernous sinus drains into the transverse sinus through this superior petrosal sinus. Means venous blood from this sinus will enter into the superior petrosal sinus. Through the superior petrosal sinus, it will reach the transverse sinus. So, first point, it drains into the transverse sinus through the superior petrosal sinus. Then it drains into the internal jugular vein through the inferior petrosal sinus. See from here. See, this is the inferior petrosal sinus. See, this is the superior petrosal. Like that, this is the inferior petrosal sinus. See, this inferior petrosal sinus ends here in another vein. That vein is not there in this image. Okay, that vein is the internal jugular vein. Internal jugular vein. So it drains into the internal jugular vein through the inferior petrosal sinus. Then it drains into the pterygoid venous plexus through the emissary veins. See this image. See in this image, this is a cavernous sinus. So and these lines represent the emissary veins. Actually, what is meant by emissary vein? Emissary veins, those are the veins connecting the extracranial veins to intracranial veins. Simply, we can say that the veins piercing the skull. Okay. So anyway, these veins comes out from the skull and drains into another network. It is known as pterygoid. Why it is known as pterygoid? It this plexus which is seen around the lateral pterygoid muscle. So this plexus is known as pterygoid plexus. Plexus means network. So it drains into the pterygoid plexus of veins through emissary veins. See the image. These are the emissary veins. So from the cavernous sinus, venous blood will enter into the emissary vein. Through the emissary vein, it will reach this plexus. Okay, that is the vein. It drains into the pterygoid plexus through emissary vein. Then into the facial vein through the superior ophthalmic vein. I already showed you this one. Say superior ophthalmic vein. So it means here to and fro motion is there. From the cavernous sinus, the venous blood will reach this facial vein through the superior ophthalmic vein. Then another point, from right and left cavernous sinuses are connected through the intercavernous sinus. See here, this is a cavernous sinus of one side, this is the opposite side cavernous sinus. These two cavernous sinuses are connected by intercavernous sinus. Okay, such two are there, one is anterior, the other one is posterior. So these are the draining channels of this cavernous sinus. So it drains into the transverse sinus through superior petrosal sinus. It drains into the internal jugular vein. We'll explain by using this image. See, this cavernous sinus drains into the transverse sinus through the superior petrosal sinus. Then it drains into the internal jugular vein through this inferior petrosal sinus. Then it drains into the pterygoid venous plexus through the emissary veins. Then it drains into the facial vein. This is the facial vein in this image through the superior ophthalmic vein. Then it is connected to the opposite side cavernous sinus through anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus. So these are the some of the important details of this cavernous sinus. So cavernous sinus one important topic. What are the features of cavernous sinus? What is meant by cavernous sinus? Where it is seen? What are the important relations? What are the structures seen on the lateral wall and medial wall? What are the tributaries? What are the draining channels? Okay.